Good afternoon, everyone. Um, Today I'm just coming to analyze what had actually happened last weekend in Bortown, Jonglei State, South Sudan. The reason has been is that I've been a little bit absent and couldn't really go through what had actually happened, and been actually been contacted by so many people to put my input onto this, and this is what I got to say. Um, the situations in Jonglei, both towns, had been so bad indeed. It is one of the first time such a massive incident has happened in that population, and it has no difference with that massive population that is always being a target on infectious diseases, uh, uh, leave alone the food poisoning. What had happened actually is a public health threat and is a threat to the general population itself. But what I could say is that the intent purpose of the people is speculating that there was a right poisons in those foods that were actually cooked is too early to be predicted at the moment, and I would suggest that just leave it in the hand of the experts to determine what caused the poisons to be fallen all the victims that are in hospitals and out, and another person who is actually under that scenario. But what I would say is this event uh, would have actually been minimized if people were actually well knowledgeable. And specifically, all the time when this kind of incidents happen, food poisoning is not something new. It is always there. Bacteria seem to be causing a lot of issues all the time in human life. But if you look into it, there are those bacteria that are pretty much quite harmless, and a lot of them become so harmful in this if the food storage is not actually in good condition. What had happened in Bor, and even most of the time in diaspora, where all other big events are always hosted, there seem to be massive populations that don't know actually how to store foods, and food is something that can actually poison you in any short period of time, despite what. But what I would say is that what had happened in Bor is a negligence. You don't cook okra with the garlic in it, or a kudra with the garlic in it, and keep it in a temperature where it would sleep overnight, or where it will spend the whole day had actually been cooked using those. Okra and kudra does not actually maintain their food safety when they actually faced with those high temperatures. So this is what has happened. The food poison actually got involved a lot. A lot of bacteria got into it. The food was not safe. That's what I would say from this point. And when you eat that kind of a food that is actually evaporating from the temperatures, especially the okra and weka, they are real dangerous in those circumstances. If you want to experience this, let your wife just cook for you kudra, or another person cook for you kudra and put in a temperature. You're still gonna what happen. It will just gonna be poison straight away when you eat that. So that's what had happened, and you see the bacteria is actually inhabited such kind of environments. They live in that environment, and that's where they survive a lot. So with a place like Bortown where there's no refrigeration a lot, there's no temperatures where things can be kept in a right storage. So that's what we would have seen had actually befallen those victims, or 400 people in a hospital. It is so bad scenario, and this is what the protocols always has to be done with. If there was a protocol that nutritionally guiding all the sub-guiding food outlets, this kind of scenario would have been prevented. Again, there's a major need for a people to understand when you are hosting those big events like that, you don't need to provide the heavy foods completely. It needs to be discouraged completely, whether you like it or not. It has to be discouraged because a lot of people might have involved in those kind of accidents. And this kind of incident would have been prevented if the light snacks were actually provided. Provide water and the drinks, and that's enough. People will not go around the mouths that you have actually haven't done anything. You have actually welcomed everything and given everyone a free water and free drinks. That would have actually minimized the risk that has actually befallen people of Jonglei State. And again, this is a major concern to the general public in South Sudan too. It's not only not because it has only occurred in Bortown, but it can definitely occur in other cities around. So people should actually put this into consideration and leave alone the ideal of trying to ignore everything. Even in the Western world down here, I'm trying to let people know that putting everything in a hole where there is a function to try to cook the heavy food that you eat in the house is not necessary. It has to be avoided so that you actually minimize the risks that people would actually get involved. That way, we are actually safeguarding the population, and we actually not going to put everyone to get sick. So, for that instant, I would say everything's everything's need to be put into the safety phase. The food storage, what sort of food that can be cooked and kept in a long time in those temperatures need to be understood. And again, consider your storage. That's one of the first options. What sort of meat that are you cooking? You know, a lot of bacteria live in some animals, you know, and if the meat has actually been infected, you know, because those meat, I'm pretty sure in South Sudan has a lot of things to do with those kind of stuff, you know. So there has been a lot of bacteria in meat as well that has actually been contaminating people. So I don't actually object that if anyone would have tampered with what has happened today, that will be investigated and leave it in the health department, you know, to do their job. And again, don't speculate false news that has no substantiated arguments in them. And this is what I have to say. Thank you very much for watching this. And again, let's be very careful. And it is a big alarming for the health department right now in Jonglei State to look into the protocol that safeguard the general public, and then that safeguards the food outlets. The restaurants has to be licensed with the regulation in place so that the health and safety and health well-being of people would have actually been safeguarded. So this is just a small message that I wanted to pass out, and it was just a little analysis of what had happened. And thank you very much for listening and watching this short clip. Thank you.